Hello, friends. Hello, Amy. It's really nice meeting you today. Finally.
Hello.
Yes. How are you doing?
I'm good, I'm good. And you? How is everybody there?
Yes, everything is fine. I'm very happy to see you today, and I'm hosting Amy. And I would like to thank you, of course, for the accepting my invitation and agreeing to answer some questions today. And we are going to talk about relationships in Indian families, my favorite topic, of course. And I'm very eager to listen to your experience, and I'm sure our listeners are also very, very curious to know what you experience in India, in the West. So we are going to discuss a lot of different topics today. And first of all, I would like to ask you to introduce yourself a little bit. Where are you from? What do you do? So that our listeners know you a little bit better.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Laura. First of all, I want to thank you for having me here and inviting me. I'm really happy to be able to share a bit about my experience. And I want to also congratulate you for your great job in your great initiative of sharing stories of people who are in these international relationships. So for all of them who are there, my name is Emilia, but you can call me Emi. I am from Ecuador, from South America, and all my life I stayed in Ecuador. I was studying there. I studied law there, and I was working as a lawyer. I'm 26-year old, and now, since two years ago, I moved to Germany to pursue my master's. I'm doing my master's degree, but also I moved to Germany mainly because my boyfriend it was living here in Germany, and we decided to be together finally, and I decided to move to Germany as well.
So my first question, of course, because you said that you moved to Germany because of your boyfriend. Can you please share with us your beautiful love story? How did you meet each other? Did you ever think that you would be in relationship with a foreigner and especially with someone from a totally different culture? Because I can imagine there is a huge difference between Latin American culture and Indian culture. So I'm very curious to listen to your story.
Well, first of all, I was never, I never imagined that I would be in a relationship with a foreigner, and especially an Indian guy. Um, so, to give you a background, I was in Ecuador in 2017. I was finishing my studies in law, and my idea was to basically stay in Ecuador, work as a lawyer there, and have a career there. Um, but at the same time, I was always curious about what is happening in the rest of the world. So when I finished my studies, I decided to travel during 1 month with my best friend, and we decided to come to Europe and travel all around Europe and visit as many countries as possible and have as many experiences as possible. So that's what we did. We came in August 2017, and we visited different countries. And in that moment, we went to Bruges in Belgium,
Yes.
and we planned one day trip in Bruges because we wanted to visit that city. It's not a common city to visit, but anyways, we had the feeling to visit it. And at the same time, Anish, my boyfriend, an Indian guy, he was studying in Germany, also his master's degree, and he was studying in Cologne, close to the border with Belgium.
Yeah.
He also decided to go for a weekend trip with his friends to Belgium, to Bruges exactly. So
Wow.
yeah, I like to say that it was destiny because I don't know why we were in the same point in the same place.
Yeah,
Um,
of course.
yes, and so we met there. We met, as I said, like I spent 1 day, 1 or 2 days in this city, and he was also there just 1 or 2 days. So we met there. We shared with a lot of other people as well. And we all stay in contact. We said like, oh, it was such a nice time that we had there. So we decided to stay in contact through social media, through the internet. Then I continued my trip. He went back to Germany and he continued studying, and I went back to Ecuador, to my country. And after some months, we started sharing more, through social media. I was sharing my experiences in my country, and he was sharing his experiences in Germany. And we stayed in contact. We stayed in touch, and we started to develop a friendship. And then I realized, wow, it is really interesting to know about him because he was an Indian guy living in Europe. And I realized that I had no idea about India culture.
Yes.
And then that's how I got more interested to know and ask him questions about his culture, about the way he sees life. And that's how we started to talk more and more often. He also was asking me about Latin America because he had some friends from Latin America, but he didn't know much about Ecuador as well, since we are such a small country. And
Yeah,
that's how
that's
we
true.
start sharing about our experiences. So in the end, after 1 year of conversations, phone calls, video calls, he said, I want to visit your country. And by that time, I think we both developed also feelings for each other, and we decided to start dating officially once he was in Ecuador. He visited me there to spend some time with my family. Um, and yeah, then we decided to start a relationship, although we knew that it was going to be a long distance relationship.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult, I can imagine. So it was because of Belgium you met each other, because this country is very special for me. I used to live in Brussels for 10 years,
Oh,
and this country, I have a lot of special memories because I moved there after we got married. And I went to Bruges as well and other cities, so I'm very happy to hear that you actually met each other in Belgium. And
yeah.
so you already mentioned that you didn't know anything and you were not interested really in Indian culture before you met each other, because I know that many South American girls, I didn't know that, but I saw a lot of them who are really crazy about Indian culture, and that's why they got married with Indians. With you, it was not the case.
Yeah, I would say in my case, I was not, well, I would not say I was not interested, but I just didn't have the connection or the opportunity to have the Indian culture close to me. I think I saw 2 or 3 movies, Indian movies that were like the most famous one, but I was never too engaged with getting to know more, because I didn't have friends from India back then. Also, I never tried Indian food. In Ecuador, I won't say that there is a lot of Indian culture, so it was not easy to have this connection. So yeah, I was not looking for an Indian boy for sure.
Yeah, so it's not like in Mexico or Brazil where there are a lot of Indians like come to visit or to study. That's what I heard. So there are not so many Indians in Ecuador.
Yeah, I would say in general, Ecuador is not known for having a lot of foreigners, but especially from India, I won't say that there are many Indians. Now that I am more involved in Indian culture and because of my situation, I realize that maybe I didn't notice when I was in Ecuador without an Indian boyfriend. I didn't notice that there were some Indians living there and that there are also couples, Ecuadorian and Indian couples living in Ecuador. But at that time, I didn't realize I was not just I was not connected to the Indian culture enough.
Yes, I can imagine. And one question I would like to ask you, you said that you were in touch for 1 year. So how fast did you understand that this person is the one with whom you would like to spend your life? And which qualities of your boyfriend impressed you the most?
Well, I think it was not, it was something natural that I don't know, I won't say that it was love at first sight and that we connected immediately and everything was perfect from the beginning. But it was more like we developed a friendship in the beginning. We both knew that we were far from each other, so there was no intention of having a loving relationship because we never thought about it. In the beginning, we thought like, oh, maybe it's nice to have a friend. One day I will visit. He was also saying me, one day I would like to visit South America, so it's nice to have a friend there. And for me, it was also like, well, maybe one day I will go to India and having a friend will be nice. But then I think once we started to talk more about our values, the values we share and our culture, the way we see life, then we realize that maybe India and Latin America is not that different. Yes, we have different tradition, different ways of behaving, or different ways of or religions, let's say.
Yeah.
But I think in the core of the values were really similar, and that's what brought us together because we thought like, okay, I remember we used to talk about families. I'm really close with my family. He's really close with his family, and that's something I value a lot from Indian culture. And I thought like, well, it's not that different from Latin America culture. Maybe from other cultures like in Europe, they are not as close as we are with our families. Um, and that's something I really like from him. And then the values he also had of being kind with people, um, just trying to do the best and trying to improve the way he is with uh, every person every day. That's something that really attracted me because I felt like, well, this is a nice person. It doesn't matter where is he from, where he's from. He's just a nice person, a nice soul, and that is what made us connect.
Yes, that's really amazing. So he came to visit you to Ecuador after 1 year. Yes, you said you were communicating on internet, and then
Yes,
he decided to come.
yes.
And what was the reaction of your family actually when you told them that there is an Indian guy who is coming to visit you and you are serious about each other? So how did they react?
Well, I think in the beginning it was also difficult for me to understand when he told me I want to go and visit you. I didn't take it seriously. I was like, well, maybe he's saying that, but it's in the future, in a really far future. And then when he said, well, I have the ticket to go and visit you, then I realized, okay, he's serious with this. And I think I prepare my family for this news because I told them in the beginning, well, I have a friend who is Indian, but he's living in Germany, and he's sharing his experience with me. And so my parents knew about him, but they knew that he was a friend. And when I told them, well, he's coming to visit me, and he's coming mainly because of me, then my parents got a bit scared. They saw that I was excited and that we were already investing a lot of time in the phone calls and everything. So they, of course, were concerned about whether this was going to work or whether this person is the person I believe I know. Um, and in the end, well, I think they were worried, of course, but when Anish visited and stayed with us for 1 month, they also had the opportunity to get to know him. And
Yes.
so for them, it was clear that I made that great decision and that I was sure that this is the person I want to be with. And at the end, they supported me and they supported the choice we made. And now they are happy with our relationship.
Yeah, of course, they saw you happy, and that's the most important thing for any parents, I guess. And they could see that he's a nice guy. It's very important to meet personally because If you just tell about someone, okay, there is a guy who is very nice, and for the parents, it's always worrying because it's a different culture, and India sometimes is not portrayed as a nice place, you know. I don't know
Yeah.
how they show India and Ecuador, but at least in Russia, in some programs, they show it as a very dirty, very poor country, and it's not good ever to go there. It's not safe, and all these things. So I can imagine they were, of course, worried. And I'm very curious to hear how your boyfriend liked Ecuador. How did he feel in South America? You probably visited some other places as well, because according to me, it's a wonderful place. I heard that some countries are also a little bit not safe. You should be careful, especially while traveling, and especially if you are a foreigner. But what was his impression about your country?
I think that's a really funny story because I think he was also scared when he decided to go to South America. He also heard just the bad news about South America. So there's a lot of I don't know, drugs and cartels, and that it's not that safe. And he didn't know Spanish at all, so and he didn't know anyone from Ecuador apart from me. So he was really scared that I was not going to be there, you know. And I think he was brave enough to take this risk because it could have happened that I don't know, I was deceiving him, and then in the end I didn't appear in the airport.
Yeah,
And
it's
I think,
possible.
yes, exactly, exactly. And there are a lot of stories that happen, something like this happened. And so he was really scared. But once he arrived and he saw me there and he saw that I was the person who I used to say that I am, I think then he started to feel more comfortable in the country and with people. He realized that people there are kind and nice and they try to help
Yes.
foreigners, even though there is no much culture of or English in Ecuador. People will try to help you anyways. And once he was there, he spent all the time with me and my family. And I think he really liked the idea of feeling like home, feeling being with family and supported by family. My parents, my siblings, they were really nice with him. So in the end, and he also spent Christmas and New Year's Eve with us because he visited us in December. And so he had this experience of being in family, celebrating all these traditions. And we also visited Peru. One of his biggest dreams was to visit Machu Picchu.
Yeah,
And he used to tell me that he always wanted to visit Machu Picchu.
me too.
And yeah, I think it's one of the common things of people around the world to visit this.
Yeah, that's true. Bolivia, Peru are very, very popular countries, I think.
Yeah, so we decided to plan and also make it possible while he was in South America. And we traveled, the both of us, we went to Peru. And it was also really nice to have the opportunity to travel together and experience this together. So I think that connected us even more in a different level. And so when he had to come back to Germany, he was really sad, not just because leaving me, but also the whole experience was over. So he was really sad, but he was also, as me, excited to keep working and keep trying to have this life for longer time.
Oh, yes, I can imagine. But what did he like the most about your country, of course, apart of you and your family? Yeah, which things? How did he like traditional food and everything? And what else did he enjoy the most during his visit?
Well, I will say I need to ask him again because now I'm talking from my perspective. But I will say that he really liked the nature. Since he's living in Germany for some years already, um, he missed this feeling of being outside with the nature and being able to just explore and go around, you know.
Yeah.
And then the weather is also nice. He realized that it's easy to just go everywhere with just one jacket and that's it. You don't need to be worried about, oh, it's going to rain, it's going to be really warm or whatever. And yeah, I think in food, he liked some of the Ecuadorian snacks, but he
Yeah.
was also trying different foods. So it is completely different from the Indian cuisine.
Of course.
So he was trying different things, although I cannot say he's the biggest fan of Ecuadorian food.
Yeah, no, I
I
think
think,
Indians they really stick to their food. They really love Indian food. I don't think that they will even many of Indians they will not even try something new. They would prefer
yeah.
only Indian cuisine. So if you like something, it's already a big thing.
Yes, yes. Well, he likes snacks because, and he was always trying to connect the the common things from our cuisine. So, for example, we have empanadas, which is something like a samosa. So he was always saying, "Ah, I like this because it tastes or it looks like a samosa." So yeah, but in general, I think he liked the nature and people in South America.
Yeah, about nature, really, I was looking for some pictures from Ecuador, and I was impressed. Really, it's so beautiful there. It's really amazing. I think many South American countries, I think most of them are very beautiful and all have its own charm. And can you please tell me how safe is it to travel in Ecuador for a foreigner, for example? Is it because I know that in most of South American countries people don't speak English, or at least very little. So is it really difficult to survive if you don't speak Spanish?
Well, I will say that it depends on how much you like adventure, because there are people who go to South America without knowing Spanish, but they want to experience that and they want to force themselves to learn Spanish.
Yeah,
And I think South America, in that sense, is a great place to learn. Um, because people, as I said, people will be kind and they will try to help you. And if they notice you're a foreigner, they will try to help you some way. But it is difficult to communicate if you don't know Spanish.
yes,
Um, so yeah, it might be a bit difficult in the beginning, but once you get used to the language, then it will be easier because people will be kind. And then about safety, I would say in most of Latin American countries, you cannot compare with the parameters or with the parameters of Europe. If you travel all around Europe, of course there are also cases of I don't know, thieves or pickpockets, but it's less than in South America. So in South America, it's also not that you have to be worried or it's impossible to travel, but you have to be more cautious. So, for example, never leave alone your bag or your
yeah,
personal belongings, because it is more common that somebody will take it. So, in that sense, I think South American or Latin Americans will develop a sense of being more cautious. Um, but and that's how we are used to live in general. So once you get used to this mentality, then it will become easier to travel around. And yeah, it is possible as a foreigner, it is possible, but I will always recommend to have some guidance and some local telling you what to do, where to go, because you have to be careful with specific places.
yeah,
um,
of course.
yeah.
Yeah, because I heard about some countries like, for example, Brazil, that you shouldn't even hold your phone in your hands because someone can just grab it and run away. And of course, it's not everywhere like this. You should know which areas you shouldn't visit. That's why I think it's important to know someone local who can guide you And without language, even in Spain, if you go to Spain, I experienced it many times. If you ask someone, do you speak English? People will say, yeah, un poco. And then no one will ever reply you anything in English. It would be only Spanish. So I think it's important to know at least maybe basic Spanish to be able to ask something, or I don't know, ask for help, because it's kind of difficult otherwise to survive.
Yes, exactly. Yes,
Not everyone speaks English, yes.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So if you want to travel to South America, then it's better you have some, like, you prepare yourself beforehand, and then there shouldn't be a problem, a bigger problem. But
Yeah.
you have to get used to that, to how things work in that country.
Yeah, because the most important that, as you said yourself, and I experienced it myself many times, that people are really amazing. They're very warm-hearted. They're very friendly. They're willing to help. Yeah, even if they don't speak languages, because I see it also in the Southern Europe. People, they don't speak English really, but they always ready to help you. Yeah,
Hmm.
somehow they will try to understand you. Yeah, so it's the most important thing that people are like that, I think. And I don't feel like in Europe, everywhere it is like that. That's what I'm missing sometimes. And that's why my second question I would like to ask you, how do you feel yourself in Germany? It's a totally different culture. Even if you compare South Europe and Germany and other northern countries, let's say that people are more reserved, they don't talk much, and I think for South American person it's a little bit difficult to be among someone who doesn't really talk, don't really smile so much. Let's say yes. Let me be honest, yeah, it is like that. And Germany, of course, it's also different, south and north, and people are also different. So, how do you feel yourself in Germany, being an intercultural couple, and you are living away from your family, from your friends? I know it's really difficult because I'm in the same situation. We are completely alone here. We don't have any relatives or someone very close to us. On one side, it's good to live in a third country to build your life, yes, but on the other hand, it's pretty difficult.
Yes, as you were saying, I think it's a struggle for people who are living in a third country as a couple, as an international couple, um, because then you don't have this support, this network of your family, your friends that can support you, in, even with the basic things, you know. We recently moved to a new flat here in Berlin, and we really struggle a lot with all the bureaucracy of changing contracts and all these things. And I was asking, and he's like, why are we here? What are we doing here? Because it's difficult. And I think getting adapted to any country is difficult, not just because the language, of course, language is a big thing. We both needed to learn German in order to be able to communicate and do the simple things here. And it is still a struggle for both of us because you never mastered the language as a native speaker. Um, and then also this thing, like culture wise, it's also difficult because we both are in different in a different culture. So it is a struggle, but at the same time, I think it's nicer that we both experience this struggle and that we both support each other and we both understand each other. Because if I was, I don't know, with a German guy, then I will feel like I am in the pressure to be adapted to him. But in this case, with my boyfriend, we both adapt to a different culture.
Yeah.
And that's something that we both also develop, that we need to be open enough, open minded to adapt to different ways of living, of different ways of thinking. And that's something we both like. And at some point, that's what makes us being happy enough living here in Germany, because we also enjoy and appreciate part of the German culture. Yes, they are not exactly the same as we are, but then you realize that they also have other ways of being kind and being or showing concern to you when you have a German friend, for example. We have some German friends, close friends, who are really, really nice people and who have also helped us a lot in our journey of
Yeah.
adapting, getting adapted in Germany.
Yeah, of course, there are nice people everywhere. I believe you can meet them in any country. Yes, that's true. And actually, in Germany, there are a lot of intercultural families. I was surprised. Actually, a lot of German girls are married to Indians. I don't know if you know couples like that in Berlin. I think in Berlin also quite a few, at least.
Yeah, that's something that I really like from Berlin, especially the city where we are living now, is that it's really international. You see
Yeah,
people from all over nationalities, and then you see these couples, also intercultural couples. And so people from even Germans who are living in Berlin, they are more open-minded, they are more open to understand, and they are more interested to see these intercultural dynamics.
yeah,
That's why you also find really, really nice restaurants from all over the world here in Berlin. And so people, international people living, especially in Berlin, they always say they feel like home because you will always have the feeling of not being the only foreigner in a
yeah.
foreign
Exactly.
country.
No,
Yeah.
I was in Berlin only once, and yeah, not for so long, but yes, it's indeed intercultural city, and also the same as Cologne, for example. It's very
Mhm.
intercultural. And there are many times there are so many nationalities, so I really hope we will come again. Then we will surely organize a meeting. It's actually my dream. I decided because I met so many wonderful people, and all of them live, a lot of them in Germany, and it's not so far. A lot of them like in other European countries. So, and we love to travel. So I decided maybe it would be possible to organize some meetings. Why not in different cities? That would be fun, I think.
It will be great. Yes, yes, we should plan something like that.
Yes, for sure. And if you ever come to Amsterdam or to Holland, you are very welcome. Yes, because it's also kind of very small country, but there are some nice things except Amsterdam. Yeah, a lot of places to visit which are not so popular, but I hope people will also see them. Yeah, because everyone just want to see Amsterdam, but I'm not a big fan of Amsterdam to be honest, because it's a very crowded city, and I prefer
Hmm.
like small, more cozy places. Yeah, and there are enough of them. And another question, okay, we were talking about life in Germany, and another thing I would like to ask, you visited India as well last year, I think. It was your first time in India. So could you please share your experience in this country? How did you feel in India? What was your impression? Did you expect India to be like that, or it was something totally different? And just in general, how did you like India?
Well, I was really, really looking forward to visit India. And finally, last year, yeah, exactly 1 year ago, I visited India for the first time. Unfortunately, it was also in the middle still of the pandemic, so there was, I think, the third wave of,
Yeah,
or third, fourth wave of the COVID-19. So it was not as easy as it would be in a normal time. Um, but I really enjoyed my time there, especially because my biggest wish was to finally being able to see with my eyes and experience the culture of my boyfriend, um, to get to know his family, and yeah, just enjoy being there. And for me, well, it was kind of, there were some moments where I felt cultural shocks, let's say, um, but I was also already prepared beforehand because we are in a relationship already for 4 years,
yeah,
and during this time I have been curious enough to do a bit of research of what things normally people in his city do, or the traditions they have, part of their behavings. So when I arrived there, it was not so much big shock. For example, the way that they eat, and they eat with their hands and everything. For me, it was normal. I already uh, got my mind used to that idea, so it was not that bad, like a cultural shock. But what I felt it was a cultural shock, was the amount of people in
Mhm.
Mumbai. So my boyfriend is from Mumbai, and we visited his family there. And at some point during the first days, I was fine. I was trying to understand what was happening, but after 1 week of being there, I started to have headache, and I said like, I think I feel that my eyes are not used to see that much movement, that many colors, many uh, yeah, noises coming from everywhere. So that was one of the things that my mind was not prepared for. And yeah, I realized, okay, this is completely different from my country. My country is such a small place.
Yeah.
We are not that many people, and in Mumbai and in India is completely different. So the dimension, it's completely different. And then about food, I was also prepared for food. We normally eat Indian food here in Germany, and I have gotten used to the spicy food as well, so it was not that bad. And one of the biggest and happiest moments was to finally being able to share time and talk to his family, and that was, yeah, the highlight of the trip for me. We spent
Yeah.
a lot of time with family there.
But what about his family? How did they accept it you? Because you probably heard a lot of stories that Indian parents, like when they come to know that their son is dating a foreign, oh my God, she will leave him, she will divorce him. It's very common in the West, yeah, you know, that they always get this thoughts in their mind, and I can understand them. Of course, it's totally different culture, they're worried. But how are your relation with your parents-in-law?
Well, I think that's why this trip was also important, because it was the first time I had the opportunity to actually talk to them and connect with them. Because before we talked already through video calls, but it was not the same. And I think they also had this feeling that they didn't know me enough, so they were not um, feeling that comfortable to talk to me, or they were just like keeping the conversation short. And from my side was exactly the same in the beginning. I was like trying to keep it short because I didn't know exactly how they react, what they think.
Yeah.
And yes, of course, for them was also hard to accept the fact that their son was dating a foreigner. As you said, it's not a common accepted thing in India. And so they were also worried because they didn't know much about my country, about my culture, my values. And so they also had this broad idea of South America is dangerous, people there or girls there are not like Indian girls, they don't care about family or whatever. They also didn't know much. So I think they finally accepted the relation. First of all, they also trust in the decision of uh, their son. And then they gave me the chance to, or they gave me the chance to get closer to them, and they got to know me better. And then they realized that we are not that different in values. We are not that different. And they actually, I remember when I was in India, they told me, well, you actually are like even better than an Indian girl. Like you are actually what we were expecting in a girl for our son. So, and I told them, yeah, in the end, it is like that. It's not about nationalities of if you
Yeah.
are foreigner or not, but it's like people. If you are a nice person, you are also a nice person, then it's like it is like that. You will get together and you will get along well. So
Exactly.
yeah, in the end they accepted us, and now my relationship with them, it's really nice. They treat me as I was their daughter. They are really worried about me, always asking me how I am feeling and everything. So, and I really, really like them because I also feel them really close to me now that we finally got to share some time together.
Yes, of course. And what about the languages? Do you understand at least a little bit Hindi? Are you learning each other languages? And your boyfriend, does he understand now Spanish?
Well, I think that's also a problem that we are now living in Germany, so we
Yeah.
both needed to also learn a third language. Um, so I communicate with my boyfriend in English. My English was not good. I mean, now it's not perfect, and I sometimes struggle also. But my English, when I met him, was not good at all. And I had to practice and I had to learn, and he was really patient with me because I never used English before. So for me, that was already a step, a big step, trying to improve my English. And since I moved to Germany, I have been learning German.
Mhm.
But when I went to India, when we traveled to India, I also wanted to learn some words in Hindi. And because now I'm more involved and I am more interested in Indian culture, I try to learn some Hindi words. I like to sing Hindi music or songs. And so I would love to learn Hindi in a more actively way, but I think it would take some time.
Yeah, of
um,
course, of course.
and in his case, it was also like that. We managed to understand each other in English, so he didn't really need it to practice his Spanish, although he was catching some words in Spanish and he knows a bit of Spanish. And now he's trying to get more involved with my culture, my language, so now he's also taking some classes of Spanish.
Oh, that's really nice. And so you didn't have any language gap with his family because normally elder generation they don't speak English mostly.
Well, yeah, luckily his parents they do speak English and really
Okay.
good, so we communicate easily. Although of course the accent sometimes is a problem, but I
Yeah.
think we get adapted to it, and it's nice. That's also something that I am really grateful because it's different when you are able to communicate in a language that you both are comfortable talking, then it makes the relationship better.
Yeah, but I think in the end you will know so many languages. You will learn Hindi, your boyfriend will learn Spanish, and you are living in Germany. It's also German because I think it's also important to know German. Not everyone speaks English there as well, and it's not an easy language. I was learning German when I was at school, and I really love this language. To be honest, I knew it very well, but I never got the chance to practice it, so I forgot most of it. Just when I go to Germany and I hear it, then I somehow just remember some words and I feel kind of, oh yes, I heard something very familiar to me, but somehow, unfortunately, I don't remember most of it. So I think it's actually nice to have this chance to learn so many languages, and Hindi is also totally different. I'm sure in Germany you probably also have Hindi lessons. It's probably possible to find teachers as well.
Yeah, well, I think I really would like to learn Hindi, and I am open to learn as many languages as possible because I think it's not just the fact of learning the language, but through the language you get to know more about the culture, you get to know people because if you are able, and that's one of the the main goals for me in learning Hindi, in learning German, in improving English, is to be able to communicate with people and
Yeah.
make them feel comfortable enough to talk to me, and being open, sharing their experiences, sharing their culture is the only way for me to get involved with some culture at the
That's the
level where you can really get to know it. So for sure, one of my goals, unfortunately, I would say like future goals, is to learn at least yeah, a decent level of Hindi. But it will take some time. Maybe I will go to
yeah.
India to learn some, to take some lessons in India.
Yes, and of course, it's much easier to learn the language in the country where they speak this language. Like you live in Germany, of course, it's easier to learn German. You have wonderful courses, you can practice it every day. But if you don't have this chance, it's much more difficult, I would say. And of course, you communicate mainly in English with each other. So Hindi, I think it can be for future. It's also not a very difficult language, like many people think. And now there are so many resources. When I was learning Hindi, there was nothing, no internet, no nothing. It was just my initiative. I really wanted to learn it. I was looking for people who can help me. So it was much more difficult. Now it's with internet, with all these things, with there are so many sites, there are so many even foreigner girls who are teaching Hindi, who are living in India. So it's much more easier. I'm sure you will get a chance to improve your
Yes.
Hindi and speak it fluently.
Yes.
Yes, and I would like to ask you one question because both of you from totally different cultures, religions, backgrounds. What was the most difficult things to accept or understand, or everything went smoothly in your relationship? And what are the main, let's say, challenges do you face in your daily life? Is there something?
Well, I think like in every relationship, the biggest challenge is to get adapted to the other person, right? To the ways of thinking, and it's not necessarily related to the fact that he's from a different culture and from a different country. Yes, of course, that is the biggest challenge then, because there are some basic things that you do differently, completely differently. um, but I think then the biggest challenge is to stay open to and try to understand to the other. And I think that was one of the things that helped us in the beginning. We stay open to understand the other, and we try to communicate as much as possible. Um, so we wanted to share the experience and try to make the other understand how you see life, because that's one of the things that I find it more difficult, is that people normally we grow in such a bubble that we don't realize that there are hundred of things that are happening around the world, and that we see it just from our perspective.
Yeah.
And there are too many things that are limiting our perspective. So I think that's what we have always tried, is like we both try to stay open, to communicate, to always share what we feel, to try to explain the other, and also try to understand the other. Um, yeah, then I think one of the biggest challenge for us was also uncertainty, because we had this long distance relationship, which was not easy. And I think having a long distance relationship is not meant for everyone, because
Yeah.
you have to be in the perfect time, in the perfect space, where you are able to compromise and to commit yourself for pursuing this relationship. And we luckily managed to go through it, but it was a challenge in the beginning, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And what actually helped you the most to keep your relations alive during the long distance relationship? Because of course, as you said, it's not everyone and not all couples like are ready to wait for long, and they're just, and there are a lot of fights can happen because of that, because of misunderstanding when you are far away and you can't discuss openly about everything. So what helped you the most?
Well, I think one of the things was communication. We always stayed in touch. So one of our challenges was that we had 6 and 7 hours of time difference.
Yeah.
So we had to arrange our schedules every day to try to be able to talk at least 1 hour at least a day. And it was hard, but we always tried and we always prioritize the communication between each other. And then the other thing was also that we were focused on our personal development. So he was studying here in Germany, he was finishing his master's, and I was also starting with my career in Ecuador. So we agreed in having a relationship, but we never lose the focus on our personal development. So we were also busy in working from our individual growth, and we didn't have time to doubt about the relationship in that sense, because I remember I told him, like, I don't feel that I need to be worried about what are you doing, or like whether you will be talking with some other girls, because I know you are busy doing your things as I am busy doing my things. And something
Yeah.
that really helped us to overcome the time and the long distance relationship was to have a clear goal. Once we knew that we wanted to have this relationship, we agreed that we wanted to do whatever it's on our hands to be able to be close to each other one day. We didn't know exactly when, but we said, like, okay, from now on we will start working on this goal. And the goal was that I was going to come to Germany. We agreed that that
Yeah.
was the best idea and that was the best decision for both of us. But I was not going to come just, like without any plan. So I had to work on how to come to Germany. I'm looking for a master's that will fit to my career, and that's something that I like. I had to learn the language from in my country. So we both started working on a final goal, on a joint plan, and that made us being busy and focus on our main goal. And I think that was one of the main things that help us our relation in our relationship.
So now you're doing your masters in Germany.
Yes, I'm almost finishing my master.
Yes, and is it difficult for a foreigner actually to find a job in Germany?
Well, not that difficult. At the moment, actually, Germany is lacking of many workers in different areas and industries. So now, actually, the government of Germany is um, it's calling for people to apply and come to Germany, because they have a lack of workers. And in my case, I think it is a bit more complicated because I studied and I come from a field that it's really local
Yeah.
law. If you study
Yeah,
law,
that's why I
most
ask
of
you actually, because a lot of my friends who studied law, they don't actually work if they move to some other countries because the law system is totally different. So you have to again study from the beginning or just at least spend a few more years.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a tough decision. However, for me, it was also clear when I took the decision of coming to Germany. I also took the decision of not pursuing the career of becoming a lawyer or continue being a lawyer. Um, but I decided to give it a shift to my career. So I'm still working in in a law-related area, and applying my law knowledge, but I'm not working as a lawyer right now. And I decided to study a master's that allows me to have this interdisciplinary perspective, and that will always give me the opportunity to work in different fields, not necessarily
Yeah.
just law. So yeah, we had to do this planning um, some years ago. That's what it also took us some time, but in the end, and we are lucky that it worked, and now we are here.
Yes, and you're together. That's the most important thing. And in a third country, yeah, it's not that easy indeed to start from the beginning, especially for you. Just leave everything behind and come to a totally new culture, atmosphere. Okay, you came to join your boyfriend mainly, but still you need some time to adjust in a new place. Yeah, and sometimes it
Yeah.
takes time indeed. And what about Indians? What can you say about them? What make them different from others? If we compare Indian men and men from Ecuador, because I don't know anything about guys from Ecuador. Yeah, how they are. I heard that a lot of Latin American guys, they have this macho attitude. Yeah, so and it's not the same. Yeah, like if you compare them with Indian guys. So what are the main differences according to you? Of course, I know everyone is different, but still you can compare a little bit and like point at some qualities which you notice.
Um, well, yeah, it's difficult to generalize because, yeah, as you said, every person has their own uh, qualities, and so it's difficult to say this nationality has these specific qualities. But if I have to say, like in a broader picture, what are the differences I find? Um, Latin America guys are more yeah, like are more direct when it comes to flirt with a girl, or like being yeah, like say if you like a girl, they will be open and go straight forward and tell you. And I think Indian culture, it's more conservative in that sense. Indian guys are a bit more shy. Um, and that makes them, yeah, not being that straightforward. Um, but yeah, in the end, it also depends on personalities. Maybe there are some Indian guys who are more open and more brave in saying, in flirting with girls.
Yes,
Uh,
especially abroad, yeah, they feel the freedom, yeah, and sometimes they can be too open, I think.
Yeah, and same with Latin American guys. There are some guys who are just shy, and they don't feel that yeah, confident to talk to girls and things like that. Then about yeah in yeah so in if we are talking about relationships, I would say Indian culture is more conservative. So for example, affection showing affection is not as common as it is in Latin America. In Latin America, we are known for being really touchy, and we like to
Yeah,
hug, and we are
exactly.
we even when we greet people, then we are always giving kisses on the cheeks. And I think that's really different in India, right? But it also comes, it is because of their culture in general. So even with family, they are not that, they don't like to show affection that much, or in a public demonstration, they don't want to do this um,
Yeah.
public show. Um, but yeah, so I would say that those are the main difference I noticed from my culture and Indian culture. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I heard from other Latin American girls, that especially the ones who are living in India, it was very difficult for them in the beginning to adjust to the fact that it's not common to touch, to hug, to kiss each other. Even wife and husband can't do it in front of the parents, or you can't start kissing just in the middle of the road in
Yeah,
India.
exactly.
So I think, yeah, that something is wrong. Yeah, it's not part of the culture. Of course, you need some time to understand, to adjust to it, because I think for Western culture, it's very common that you can hug your husband or wife just in front of the parents, and there is nothing wrong with that. But you should be careful, yeah, and think twice, yeah, what they will think actually.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not very common, of course, even to kiss the kids, like for example in our countries, it's like it's very normal for the parents to kiss them all the time, especially when they're
Hmm.
little. I think in India it's a little bit. Oh, it's not the same actually. That's why they're not so used that parents always hug and kiss them. It's like mostly they can, okay, kiss them in the forehead or something like that. So it's also a little bit different. Yeah, I agree with you
Yeah.
that the culture is, of course, much more conservative, and people are more strict about some things, about like to have relationship before marriage. It's also not a very common thing, especially in small cities. I'm not talking about Mumbai. Mumbai is a very modern city. Now everything changed also in India, and big cities. It's also different, you know that.
Hmm.
In the West, I would say nowadays. Yes.
Yeah, but that's curious. And now that you mention it, I think it is like that. Every society evolves, and so with the time and now the new generations are not like what we are describing right now. I have seen in India when I was in Mumbai last time, I was surprised because I also had the idea that all Indians are really conservative and they don't like to. But I saw actually couples kissing on the street, and so I was like, okay, they are also evolving and they are showing that they are more open um, to this kind of affection demonstration. And when I see, and while trying to understand the Indian culture, I also try to compare it with my culture. And now that I see it, I think in my country some years ago it was like in India. Parents or my parents' generation or my grandparents' generation, they were also not that. Um, Affective, they were
Yeah, of
also
course.
like more conservative. Um, and so when I compared with India, then I realized like it's not that different. It's just generations and how you change and evolve, and you think of, well, showing affection shouldn't be bad, right? So
Yeah, that's
then yeah, so then in the end, societies and people are changing.
Yeah, and even if we talk about arranged marriages, it was also pretty common in old times in Russia that like parents, they contact their friends or relatives to find a good match for their daughter or son. So we are surprised, okay, how people can have arranged marriages. But if you think about old times, we had exactly the same things. It's
Exactly.
different. Yeah, people prefer to find themselves, but earlier it wasn't the case. And in India, it's
Exactly.
still not the case that when I heard from young Indian guys that they prefer to have arranged marriage, but not a love marriage, because they think that parents will never wish their kids anything bad, and they will find the best partner for them, although it's not always work, as I can
Yeah.
see.
Yes,
Yeah,
I also normally think about this. It's like when we criticize or when we think that some traditions or some ways of doing things are weird for us, then we have to look at our own culture some time before. Then it's not that different. Or there are also things that for other people who will think that it's also not nice or weird or different, no?
yeah. And especially now it's kind of different because the girl and the boy, they have a chance to know each other. It's not like you meet your wife for the first time during your marriage. Yeah, it happened like this in India before, but now they had chance to meet, to communicate, to date even for some time, to know each other. Yeah, and
Mhm.
I think there is nothing bad about it, nothing wrong. Of course, if they are forced, yeah, this is wrong, of
Yeah.
course. It could be. shouldn't be
Yeah.
forcing for sure, because in many cases, yeah, they are forced and they are in love with someone else, but parents don't want to accept their choice. Then it's of course a different story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I also want to ask you about again about India a little bit. What do you like the most about this country? Like after you visited and saw everything with your own eyes, experienced a lot of things, but what are the main things which you really loved about India?
I really like the richness of their culture and that they live their culture daily. Um, I think they are people who are really identify with their culture. So in food, they are proud with their food and they have reasons for being proud of their food because it's delicious, really. Um, with the music, their programs, the Bollywood industry, I really like that people like and enjoy and share this with the world because it's something that belongs to them, but they also like to share it. And then seeing people like living this culture every day, the way they dress, their traditional dresses, um, I think it's one of the most authentic societies, I would say, and I really enjoy that. Of course, they have also influence from other countries. They are open to even more uh, Western influence, but they adapted and they still keep this proud of their own culture, and that's something I really like. Then people are really kind. They are nice. Um, they are curious also when there is a foreigner there, but they make you feel fine and respected there. And well, for me, one of the biggest thing and that I appreciate and I like from India is that the family of my boyfriend is living there, and so I feel already like part of home. It's in India.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's India for me at the moment. Just culture, food, nice food, nice people, and also family.
But is there something what you didn't like, or maybe you didn't understand, or some you had some negative moments because in all societies there is something what can even shock you or cause some negative emotions or something like that. Did you experience anything in India during your visit at least?
Well, I think one of the biggest culture shock for me was also the fact that there is a lot of peer pressure happening there. There is a lot of society pressure. So I feel that people are always under pressure of what the others will say, what your neighbors will
Yeah.
think about you if you do this specific thing. So there is a limitation of how you want to show yourself to others. And I think in my country, in Latin America, we also have that everywhere, right? Worried about, we are always worried about what the other will think and what will say. However, I think in India, the dimension of the pressure of society is in a different level. So I think they are really, really interested in criticizing the others. So people will always be looking at you and they will always be um, trying to find something that you are doing wrong so they can talk about it and then they can discuss about your life.
Yes.
And yeah, I think that that's something I don't like, and I think I would wish that changed in the following years in India, because I think people should be free to do whatever they want without having this pressure of what my family will say, what the society will say. And then I think something that is positive from the same phenomenon is that they are really close to the community, right? So they live in community, they are always worried about each other, and that's nice. That's something I appreciate and I miss, because I don't think European and especially Germans are like that. They are more known for being individual,
Yeah.
but in India, you have this community feeling. However, if you allow the community make decisions for you, or um, even decide what you should do or not, then I think that is another level, and that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, that's true. Like they say, when you marry an Indian, you marry also the whole family. It is something, yes, indeed.
And not just
They,
the family, but the community, the whole neighborhood, and
yeah,
everyone.
yeah, they really depend on the opinion of others. Yeah, a lot actually, and not only relatives, but it can be just a neighbor. What he will say, what he will think. Yeah, and sometimes it's go to extreme level. I would say yes. I
Yeah.
agree with you. It is something. Yeah, there are things in India which I also, okay, I was interested in this country, in this culture since my childhood, but some things, when I started learning more and more, they really, even now, I'm getting shocked sometimes that it happens in 21st century, something like that is still happening, and there are really, really bad things happening. We will not discuss them now, but it's actually sad. I really hope that society will change with time, especially how in many states, I don't want to say everywhere, in some families, the women are treated, they are not on the same level as men. Yeah. And for example, if there is boy and a girl in the family, they are not treated equally still. That you probably
Yeah.
heard about. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would say that that is unfortunately a problem of many societies, and that's why like I cannot focus. Of course, that's something also that I would love that change, and hopefully soon. But that's a thing that happens in many societies, and unfortunately, I have to say that Latin America is also known for being one of these cultures that have this macho idea, and where women are not treated in the same way or given the same respect. So, and I know that in India there is still these problems, um, but you cannot generalize, or you cannot say that it's just a problem from India or just a
No,
problem
no,
from
no,
Latin
of course
America,
not.
but in general, yeah, it's
Yes,
something
I
that
heard
needs to
that
change.
domestic violence is very common in Latin America, and I even
Yeah.
saw on the TV there are a lot of demonstration that women come out and they're really protesting. They want to be safe, like their
Hmm.
husband treat them really bad, and I heard it about it. It's not only about India, but I hope it will change everywhere, and both
Yeah.
girls and boys will treat equally. And it's very important, I think.
Yeah, and that's important also to question some part of the ideas that we grow, because in India, I think there are these communities that teach their kids, no, that a girl is not worth it or is not the same worth. And same in Latin America, we have people who grow thinking girls have not the same value as guys, and so yeah, it's a phenomenon that is still there, and that I hope it change all around the world.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, everyone is equal, and I think in India also, and still, okay, they don't tell the gender of the child when the woman is pregnant, and the reason is because people prefer boys, and there are not enough women.
Hmm.
Now it's really sad. So I really hope that people will be more educated and they will educate their kids that everyone is the same and there shouldn't be any discrimination, and of course men should respect the women everywhere, not only in India, but in all societies, I would say. So it's not the case. And
Yeah.
I would like also to ask you, you already mentioned a little bit, but I want to ask you, how do you like Indian food and what is your favorite dish? What do you mainly cook at home? And as I said earlier, Indians, they are very patriotic about their own cuisine and they prefer only Indian dishes. So every day only Indian. And What about your boyfriend? Does he really enjoy some other cuisines? It can be anything. I'm not talking about only German or Ecuadorian because you live in Germany now. But does he like some other cuisines as well, or it's mainly Indian?
Well, I think that's an important topic for Indians. Their food, it's one of the biggest proud they have, and I think they are right to be proud of that because yeah, they have amazing food. Before meeting my boyfriend, I never tried Indian food, so I didn't know what I was missing in my life. uh, but once I tried it, I really started appreciating the flavors and the difference. Yeah, the different taste and flavors in your mouth, and how you can combine different ingredients in a dish. And so I won't say that he forced me to change my eating habits, but I decided to change my eating habits to more Indian, uh, yeah, Indian ingredients, Indian dishes, because I really like it as well. So, and I was also interested to learn how to cook, how to prepare different dishes. Um, and since we moved to Germany, um, well, he has always been eating Indian food, and here you find really good Indian restaurants.
Yeah, that's true.
Um, but he is not the best cook, I would say. So he was also open to try different foods. He has tried a lot of Italian dishes, and he loves Italian food.
Yeah.
He loves pizza and spaghetti. Um, but if he has to choose, then he will prefer always Indian. And in my case, well, I love Ecuadorian food, but it's difficult to find some of the ingredients here in Germany, or if you find them, they are quite expensive, and it's even easier to find Indian ingredients since there are too many Indians also here in Germany. Um, and so we prefer to cook most of the time Indian dishes, and sometimes we try to also vary a bit and yeah, go out for and try, I don't know, Vietnamese or
Yes.
Chinese or other Asian food, and sometimes also Latin America, Mexican food. Yeah, but Indian, I would say, is the main cuisine that is eaten in this house.
And what is favorite dish actually in Indian cuisine? Okay, you can actually name a few. Yeah, I know it's difficult to choose only one.
Yeah, it's difficult, but my boyfriend's favorite dish is butter chicken, so he's not too much. Well, he likes spicy, but he likes also this creamy and more sweet curries. And for
Yeah.
me, I love also that because I am used to spicy, but I don't love spicy food. Sometimes I cannot handle too much
Yeah.
spicy. So I prefer these more creamy and butter curries. So I like butter chicken or um, paneer, uh, makhani, paneer
Yes.
makhani. Yeah,
So your
and
boyfriend is not vegetarian because a lot of Indians are vegetarian. Yeah, they don't eat
yeah, no,
non-veg.
he's not vegetarian. He eats
Mhm.
chicken and fish, and I also eat mainly chicken and fish. So we like to vary, and I also like vegetarian curries
Yeah.
and dishes because they are so delicious that they don't need meat.
Yeah, of
So
course. I think in India, when you go to India, you don't even feel like eating any meat. There are so many vegetarian dishes, really rich varieties, and you can just choose anything, particularly, yeah.
yeah.
Yes. And what about Ecuadorian food? What is the Actually, because I don't know much, I'm sorry, about your cuisine. You know that in the West, the most popular, I think, Mexican food. It's very popular. Everyone just
Mhm.
love like trying quesadillas, burritos, all these things. Yes, and maybe I don't know, um, Argentinian, Brazilian. Yeah, you can find some restaurants, but I heard actually that Ecuadorian food is also very tasty. And what is actually traditional dishes? What do you mainly eat in Ecuador? I think in South America you eat a lot of meat. Maybe not everywhere, but at least in most of the countries.
Yes, well, in South America, in Ecuador, we have different dishes, and it depends on the region. I come from the region that is mountain, so
Hmm.
we mainly produce potatoes and grains, and we most of our dishes are around potatoes and grains and things like this. And we do eat meat, but mainly we eat pork
Oh, okay.
and chicken also, yeah. Um, and then if you go to the coast, and then you have the seafood, and I love seafood from my country especially because there are many different ways of preparing fish, and we have probably you have heard about the Peruvian ceviche.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
have the Ecuadorian version of a ceviche, which is one of my favorites. So we have many dishes that are delicious, but yeah, unfortunately, they are not that known, commonly known. And then we have a lot of snacks that are similar or can be similar to Indian snacks because we deep fried them.
Okay.
um, and then we have, like as I said, we have these empanadas that are something like samosa, so it's a dough
Hmm.
filled with something. Um, and that's something that Anish, my boyfriend, really like. He's always asking for empanadas.
But do you cook Ecuadorian food at home, or is it really difficult to cook it? Because, as you said, that it's not easy to find all the ingredients, and probably there should be maybe some South American shop or something in Berlin. I don't know. Are they
Yes,
available?
I've been trying to find Ecuadorian restaurants, and yes, it is difficult to find. There are not too many, but luckily there are two or three here in Berlin,
Mhm.
and there you can find different Ecuadorian dishes. So I don't need to make a bigger effort in preparing them because sometimes it's really difficult to find the ingredients and
Yeah.
also takes some time. And then at home, I try to do these snacks, these small things, also to remember and have this feeling of my home country.
Yes.
So yeah, I normally prepare quite often the empanadas, and then there are other snacks that are easier to prepare, and you can find the ingredients in some Asian shops or some Latin American shops here.
I'm sure I would enjoy it because I love seafood. Mainly, okay, mainly different type of fishes, not like just I never tried like medias or some sea creatures. I wouldn't even feel like trying, but fish I love a lot, and I'm very curious to try something from Ecuador because I never tried, to be honest. Maybe I tried something similar because I heard there are some similarity in cuisines in South American
Yeah,
cuisines. Ecuadorian restaurants, to be honest,
yeah, there are not too
I
many.
I don't know. Yes. Mexican, yeah, maybe even Peruvian, but not from Ecuador. But is your cuisine close to Peruvian, or it's really different?
No, I would say it's quite close to the Peruvian. We have same or similar ingredients. We call them in a different way, but it's quite similar. And also to
Ah,
Colombian
okay.
cuisine, kind of, yeah.
So you also eat a lot of potatoes, I think. Like I think in
Yeah.
Colombia, well, I heard from my friend that sometimes are kind of weird combination for a person who never tried it. I think also a lot of corn. I think some corn dishes. Yes.
Yes, exactly. And we have these combinations of just carbohydrates. So it's like potato with rice. We eat a lot of rice.
Yeah,
And
this is
yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest complaints of my boyfriend, because you know Indian food is always with a gravy, some curry.
Yeah.
There has to be some liquid in there, and in my food, in my kind of dishes, it's just everything is dry. So my boyfriend likes the taste, but he said like it needs some sauce, you know.
Yes, yes, I can understand. And is Ecuadorian cuisine spicy or it's not really spicy? You don't
Not
use
really
too many
spicy,
spice. Mm.
Not Indian level. We do have like we do use sauces, sauces, or we
Mhm.
prepare them ourselves, but it's like a side sauce, right? So you don't prepare the main dish with that, but you add it if you like spicy.
Ah, okay. So as I understood, the spiciest cuisine in South America, okay, is Mexican. Because, yeah,
Yeah,
they have
Latin
more
America,
spices.
yeah, I would say, yeah, Mexicans are known for like spicy
Yeah,
food.
I mean, Mexican girls who moved to India, all of them admitted that they never had any problems with spicy food in India. So they adjusted very fast because they also have very spicy dishes and different type of sauces. Yeah, probably you don't have them in
Yeah.
Ecuador and other countries. Yeah, and I think in Colombia as well. That's what I heard. I thought that South American cuisine is also at least a little bit spicy, but it's not the case
Yeah,
actually.
no, it's not the case. We do use a lot of spices in cooking, and there are some similar spices that are used in Indian cuisine. So, for example, cumin, curry, turmeric, we do use them sometimes, but not garam masala or these chili flakes. We don't use them.
Yes, of course, of course. And what about Indian desserts? Like, do you like Indian sweets?
I tried some when I was in India, and the thing is that I'm not the biggest fan of sugar things because when it's too sweet, I get bored. I don't like something that is too sweet, or I can just take a bite of it, but not. I need a black coffee with an Indian sweet. So I tried the jalebi and it was really sweet for me. And some sweets are that are mixed with nuts or cashew, then I like because then it's like not so sweet.
Yeah, yeah, I'm the same. I like some Indian sweets, but for me, they're too sweet. It's like
Hmm.
extremely sweet. I can't just eat them just like that. I need coffee or tea or something, and one piece is more than enough. I cannot handle like it, especially if it's rasgulla or if it's jalebi, they're extremely sweet. For me, the best are, I think, something with the nuts, like with cashew, like
Yeah,
barfi or coconut, but too, they can
yeah,
be less sweet at least. Yeah,
yes.
I can see. Yes, I can see a question actually from a Colombian girl. She's also married to an Indian. And do they live also in Germany? Because I forgot kind of. There are there are so many couples. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think they also live in Germany. And she's asking you, what is the biggest culture shock you have had? Or maybe you didn't have any culture shock because we talk about it already. Maybe she meant, I don't know if she meant if you had any culture shock when you went to India or in general.
Yeah, well, in general, yeah, as I mentioned, I think the cultural shock. Well, there are differences in traditions. If we talk about specific ways of doing things, there are some differences. Yeah, for instance, I think the biggest thing is the fact of eating with the hand, or I think Indians really like to eat on the ground even though there are tables in India or chairs, they don't like or they enjoy more food when they eat on the ground, on the floor. And that was in the beginning for me also like, a shock or a difference that I had to get used to it. But now I am the one who is actually also always saying, that's it on the floor. Or yesterday we went to an Indian restaurant with some friends, And our friend, he was eating with the fork and the knife, and me and Anish, we were eating with the hands because for me now it's the only way of eating Indian food. And now I also enjoy doing like that. So I think
Yeah, I
there are
agree.
differences, of course, but in the end, I got used to them, and yeah, I just adapted them to my way of doing things.
Yeah, that's true. Like they said that when you eat with your hands, the food tastes tastier. Especially, I don't know if there is something about it. Yeah, we don't eat with the hands. My husband, even when he's in India, he never eats with the hands. And in the north part of India, they eat more bread, like
Mhm.
chapati or naan. They don't eat
Mhm.
rice so much. That's why they just put just have a piece of bread, put some food inside, and that's how they eat mainly. Okay, it is also with the hands, but not like you eat rice. Yeah, not.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
So now you're like a typical Indian girl, enjoying Indian food, and nothing is
Yes.
stopping more. Oh, you adapted very well to all the differences, and because really, as I said, the cultures are different, but of course there are similarities. I'm sure if you really think about it, you will find a lot of similarities between our cultures and countries.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's a matter of understanding the other and understanding the other culture and get it adapted to it. Yeah. Not such
yeah.
a cultural shock.
Yes, and of course, respect each other cultures. I think it's very, very important. Otherwise, you shouldn't be with a foreigner. I think because I know a lot of girls who get shocked about some things. Oh, I don't like this, I don't like that, and they don't even try to understand, and they try to stop their boyfriends or husbands from something what they didn't like. And I think it's not the right approach for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. That's really, really important because I think, yeah, is the having a foreigner as a couple or as a partner, um, it means that you have to be open and it means that you have to be respectful. If you are not willing to do that, then it's better for you not to
yeah.
have a foreigner partner. Otherwise, you will always have problems, right? If you are not open to understand and accept your partner, then it will always be a problem in the relationship.
Yes, of course. I agree. 100% right. And my question, which I ask all the girls, yeah, of course, everyone have different experience, and I think it's important to know when you date a foreigner from particular country, what would you recommend to the girls who are in relation with Indian men, how to behave with them to prevent maybe any misunderstanding or some problems in future, how to understand that man is really serious about you because Indian men are different and they can express their feelings much faster. Yeah, they can tell you I love you next day. Yeah, and for some girls it's like a shock. How can he love me if we don't know each other? Yeah, but for them, yeah, if they like someone, they will just show their feelings immediately without any problems without hiding them. So, what would you recommend based on your experience? And there are a lot of Indian guys, yeah, who are actually dreaming about foreigner partner. I'm getting a lot of messages. Even now, I saw some how to find a foreigner girl. I really want to marry someone abroad. Some of them don't even understand why they're looking for a foreigner girl. They never went abroad. I don't know why actually. I try to understand myself, especially for the guys who never went outside of India,
Mhm.
just because of the prestige, because of the white skin, and I think it's a little bit crazy to look for someone only
Yeah.
based on the skin color. I think you agree with me. What would you recommend actually to an Indian guys also who are really dreaming about a foreigner partner? Should they really, I don't know, look for one if they have never seen them?
Well, I think love in general or a healthy relationship should not be based in looking desperately for one specific parameter like nationality or the color of the skin or where she comes or he comes from. I think one of the important things to find out the right partner is to you prepare yourself and have clear what you want from this partner. What are you looking for as values for this person? So if you don't have that clear, it's really, it will be really easy that you will get deceived. Somebody will trick you. If you are just looking to the whiter skin or just looking to the foreigner, then you might get in some of these problematic relationships that there are a lot that Indian guys get tricked by other people or girls from other countries, because you are not focusing on the important thing, right? The important thing is to really get to know the person, not the nationality, not the country. And in every country, we have people from, or like people different. They are good and bad persons. So you need to really understand if the person you are getting to know is the perfect person for you. If if she or he is open enough to understand where you come from, the background you have, how you grew up, and it's also open to adapt to those differences, because there will always be differences in a relationship. No one is perfect exactly, or has the same ways of thinking like you. So you have to be open enough to understand the other, and you have to look for somebody who is open enough to understand you. Um,
Yeah.
for girls, I would say my advice is to, if you are in a relationship with an Indian guy or with any nationality, um, you have to really be curious and try to understand the culture, try to understand the family, how he grew up, because then you will understand some of the basic things that he does in a daily life. So some of these things that seems crazy for you, if you try to go and uh, research and investigate a bit, then you will really understand why he believes in this, why he behaves like this. And that's the way you can also respect and appreciate that. In my case, that's what I try to do while living with my boyfriend. I always try to look and investigate and research about India to understand how he grew up and what he does, what his family believe. And so I try to be as open and keep my head as open as possible to understand him. And then if the guy is looking for, if there are Indian guys that are looking for foreigners, I would say stop looking for foreigners. And yeah,
Exactly.
it's not something that you can look for. If you are somebody who never uh, went or traveled outside your country, who doesn't speak another language, and who has no intention of opening to the world, then what's the point of looking for a foreigner? Even if you find somebody who wants to be with you, the relation won't work. So if you really want to have an international experience, let's say, start working on yourself, trying to learn about other cultures, trying to learn about different ways of seeing life, and learning other languages. And probably while doing these things, you will find somebody that is also interested like you in different cultures, in different um, yeah, experiences. And probably this is a foreigner person, or maybe it's also an Indian girl who is also interested in these things. And in the end, it's not about nationalities, but if this person is the right one for you. So yeah,
Okay.
don't look for foreigners. It's not
Golden
everything.
words. Yes, you should listen what Amy is saying. Yeah, I really agree with her. It's all about the person. It's not about nationality. And you should learn about other countries if you are really interested in foreigner partner, because not everyone is willing to learn. And I see a comment that makes me laugh. Just learn how to cook Indian food. Your guy will be so happy, I promise. It's not only about Indian food. There are many different things which you should know and learn before you just start them on your relationship with someone from a totally different culture. Okay, food is good. You can learn it very fast. I believe, yes, if you have
Yes.
interest in cooking, yeah. But there are many other things you should be prepared, yeah, and I completely agree with you. So, guys, listen careful what they're saying, yeah.
Yeah,
And
nationality is not something that will secure a happy or a sad life relationship. So don't focus on that. I was not
excellent.
looking for an Indian guy for sure, and not a foreigner. So, but yeah, it just happened, and it just happened to be the right person for me.
That's true. And he turned out to be from India. Yes, and the last small question. Okay, you're living in Germany now. Are you plans? Do you see yourself in Germany, like let's say in the nearest future, or would you prefer still to live maybe in one of your countries or somewhere else? Or you didn't plan anything yet?
Yeah, it's a difficult question, and I think both of us we ask ourselves like, okay, what are the plans for the future? Especially when we struggle in Germany and we say we would like to be in our home countries, and it
Yeah.
will be easier. However, I think when we decided to start life here in Germany, it was because we saw that Germany was a good option for both of us, where we both of us could have a better style, lifestyle, and life quality. So for now, I think it's the best option for us. Anish has a stable job. I am also finishing my studies, and I would like to start a job career here in Germany and see then in the future what is there for us. Probably one day we will go back to one of our home countries, um, or maybe we will move to another third country. So who knows? I
Yeah.
think it's really difficult to plan so much in advance, but at least for the following years, we are planning to stay here in Germany.
Yeah, and actually that's the beauty of intercultural relations, that you can experience different countries. You can live in your country, you can live in your husband's country, you can live in a third country. So it's like a lot to discover and to see. And yeah, you never know actually with the current situation. Yeah, you cannot even predict what will happen tomorrow. So yeah,
Yeah.
important thing that you should be happy wherever you are, yes, and you should feel satisfied, yeah, of course,
Yeah.
to have group, to have friends, everything, it's very important.
And the thing is that we have discussed about it and we have put ourselves in the situation, in the hypothetical situation where we need to move to somewhere, and we are open to that. And that's why for me it's important to still learn more about India and the culture and the language. And for him also, it's like, what if one day we move to Ecuador and I need to speak Spanish? And
Yeah,
same for
that's
me.
true.
What if one day we move to India and I need to communicate with people in Hindi? So, and we are preparing ourselves for those situations if they happen.
Yes, of course, that's right. Because you never know what will happen, but since you are in Germany, we should surely meet one day. That's for sure. That's a plan. Yeah, I
Yeah.
really want to see everyone who is in neighboring countries, because what I like about Europe personally, that it's so small. It's very easy to travel. So just the 2 hours you are already in Germany, like or in Belgium. So it's no
Yes.
problem. yeah. And sometimes we just go by car to Spain or to Italy. It's also just in one day you are there.
Yeah,
If you
exactly.
was. So that's the beauty of this continent, that it's so little and cozy. You can easily travel. It's not the same like India or South America or North America, because the distances are huge. You can't travel so easily. That's
Yeah,
for
and there are
sure.
not many means of transportation as well. Here you have the train, then you have um, low cost flight, and in Ecuador you cannot do that for sure. So we need to take advantage of this opportunity and see each other, meet each other
Yes, of
personally for
course.
sure.
For sure, for sure. Yes, we actually were thinking about coming to Berlin. My husband's very good friend is living there, and he was inviting us for ages now. We went a long time ago actually to visit him, but now it has been many years. So we will surely come, and if we come, we will meet, definitely.
Please
No
let me
doubt
know.
about it.
Yes.
Maybe we can organize a huge meeting with all the couples who are living in Berlin. They are ready to, and who are ready to join us, because I'm sure there are many people as well. And
Yeah.
I would like to thank you for a wonderful, interesting conversation. As I expected, it's always fun to speak to the girls, especially. It's my compliment to all of you from South America. All of them were nice, very cheerful, friendly. It's like no exception. So everyone is nice. I never had any negative experience in my life. So that's why I really want to visit South America. I really want to learn Spanish. It's actually my dream for a long time. I was just painting my dream for so long, and I will try to learn. And I would like to thank everyone. I saw a lot of people were watching us, and if you couldn't see us, I will save our interview so you can watch later on YouTube. I always upload everything on YouTube. And we will surely keep in touch. I would love to meet you again. Thanks a lot for your time.
Perfect.
For again, for I learned a lot about your country as well, because I don't know much about Ecuador. Unfortunately, it's not so popular, and I say unfortunately, like many other Latin American countries. But I'm sure if I come to Berlin, I will know even more from you
Yes,
about your
yes. You
country.
are very welcome to South America, to Berlin, to Ecuador. And thank you very much, Lara, for the opportunity. I really enjoyed the interview. I hope everyone who is there also enjoy hearing us talking about these experiences. And yes, I'm looking forward to meeting you personally and hopefully in the future also continue with this experience sharing in these
Yes,
different
yes.
platforms.
I was really missing these live sessions. I couldn't organize them for some time because I got extremely busy. I'm so happy that I started it again. It's actually became part of my life. I would say it has been more than 1 year since I started, let's say, this project, meeting different couples. And I learned myself so much, not only about India, of course, but about different cultures. And I really love it. So I would really thank you again for being here with me today, and we will surely meet again. I also organized it, I think, once, an interview with 3 more Latin American girls, and I had so much fun. It was so cheerful, really. I never had so much fun. We were talking, okay, about differences between Indian and Latin American food. So it was really, really interesting to listen about different countries. So let's keep in touch. And
Yes, for sure.
my fingers crossed that next year we should surely meet somewhere. I don't know where, in Berlin or in Amsterdam or somewhere else.
South
You never
America.
know.
Yes.
Oh, maybe. Yes, yes. We were actually planning to go to South America in, I think, in 2020, but what happened? Yeah, you know, all our plans went. Yeah, not only ours, but I think everyone had to change their plans. But for sure, maybe in Ecuador. Who knows?
For
But for
sure.
now, let's meet in Europe since you are very
Okay.
near. Ecuador is a little bit too far, yeah. But maybe we will be in Ecuador at the same time. Who
Yeah,
knows?
we will have time enough to plan different trips,
Yes, for
different
sure.
opportunities. Thank you very
Yes.
much, Laura. And
Thanks a lot.
congratulations for your initiative as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, this words keep me moving on. Sometimes I think maybe it's not interesting for others, but when I meet so many wonderful people, I feel like continuing with my idea. And I wish you a wonderful day ahead. I think
Thank you
it's
very
nice.
much.
I hope it's nice weather in Berlin, not like here. But after talking to you, you cheer me up a lot. So thanks for that. And see you again.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And to everyone who's watching also, thank you for watching. Thank you,
Yes.
Laura. Have a nice
Thank
day.
you.
And
Thank you. Thank you. And same to you. Bye bye.
take
See you
care.
again.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Bye.